It's time again to cook with Kinko. Let's just hope this dish don't stink. Oh, made with love, but not with skill. Oh, pray the smoke alarm stay still. Oh.
Hey friends, this is episode 2 of Cooking for Kinko. Who's Kinko? Well, that's my sister, and she really does know how to cook, but once upon a time, I was asked to make a video on how to make sausage gravy. So I did that in episode 1. Now we're going to have some more fun and do it some more. So follow along. We're going to be making creamy Cajun chicken pasta today. Recipe's here. I can send it to you if you ask for it. Simple dish, should take you less than a half an hour. It's got some components, but it's really simple, and I always like to do the prep work ahead of time, so I'm pretty much ready to go. I did this dish for a fundraiser for FCCLA a few years ago, and it was a big hit, a crowd favorite, so to speak, and I went through a lot of batches of it, so I pretty much can do it from memory. So we're going to walk through the ingredients and get ready to cook. Alright, we're going to walk through the ingredients. Like I said, this has got a few components to it, but it's actually really simple and a whole bunch of really good stuff. It calls for chicken breast. It calls for a pound of chicken breast. I'm not a fan of using chicken breast, mainly because I think there's too much stuff with them, fat, etc. I use these little guys from, well, I get them at Walmart, or obviously this is a Tyson brand. These are chicken tenderloins. There's a little less meat, well, not meat, there's just a little less stuff that you end up having to cut off. Calls for smoked sausage. So this is where you can get creative, live a little bit, do what you want. It's no big deal. I'm using these today. This is actually going to my nephew Josh and his wife Kara to celebrate the new baby. So we're going to deliver this for an easy meal for them to throw in the oven when they're done. So pick your own smoked sausage, do whatever you want. Here's what the chicken tenderloins are going to look like. I got them all seasoned. You're going to season them generously with Cajun seasoning and Italian seasoning, salt, pepper. So I just seasoned up one side of them, and I'll season the other side when I put them in the pan. I already got the oil cooking here. Oil and 1 tablespoon of butter. The recipe calls for Bella mushrooms. I have some sliced up that I bought a container. I am not using it. It calls for 8 ounces, but I ain't going there. First of all, I personally don't like mushrooms. If you like mushrooms, more power to you. To each their own. You do what you want. I'm going to do what I want. I won't put mushrooms in mine, but half of the couple likes mushrooms and half doesn't, so we're just going to throw some in there on 1/2. Cajun seasoning to taste, Italian seasoning to taste, salt and pepper. So next up, for the creamy Parmesan sauce, this is where it gets fun. A cup of chicken broth, 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, a cup of heavy cream, and again, you can see pretty much I just buy all that stuff. I use this Creole seasoning here. Garlic, I just use this paste. Now, I'd probably get flamed by the real food cookers in the world because, you know, it's kind of like a jarlic, but I don't care. I like to save time. I ain't going to mince my own garlic. And then Parmesan cheese. You can use that bagged stuff if you want. I've become kind of a cheese snob. If you ain't got one of these bad boys in your kitchen, you're missing out. I also got a really cool cheese shredder, or actually it's just a shredder in general for Christmas, and I love it. We're classing it up with 2 different kinds of cheese. I have just the classic Parmesan here, and we're using a black pepper cheese, which I think is going to add a fun dimension to it. Both of those I already have grated up, like so. Comes in a big chunk, obviously, and if you ain't eating that while you're cooking, you're doing something wrong. So, first step, I already did some of this. I pre-gamed a little bit. First step, boil water. If that comprehension isn't something you can handle, probably better start back at a different beginner video of some kind, but we boiled pasta and we made it according to directions, obviously. You just boil it. I drained it already. I cooled it down. I always do that if I'm going to reintroduce the pasta. I cool it down so it's not cooking still as it just sits there. I've gone ahead and generously seasoned these bad boys. I got my pan good and hot with a tablespoon of butter and a little bit of olive oil. And look what I got going here. These are the full tenderloins, right? Some people would have a tendency probably to cut them up ahead of time and, you know, just chop them up and throw them in the pan already, but we don't want to do that. I'll tell you why. It's because they're better and they're juicier if you leave them intact and whole. So we got that going. Only seasoned one side, so we're going to go ahead and season side 2. Get these guys done with some Creole, garlic salt, smoked paprika. I don't think I put any of that on side 1, but I'm living on the edge, switching it up for side 2. That's about all. Now these little chicken, I got this on medium-high heat. These little guys are not going to take very long to cook. They're thin, which is kind of what helps speed this recipe along. Again, pick your own cheeses. You want, I think for this dish you probably want to go with like a Parmesan cheese or whatever, just because it adds a great flavor. But for now, we're just going to start rolling along and getting those chicken breasts cooked up. I also have these sausages. I don't use all of these, but what I'm going to do is just go ahead and snack on them as I'm going, because they're freaking delicious. And I share it with the dogs. They love it. This is the mushroom container. You see me in the grocery store. I'm going to throw these right in the old garbage because I ain't eating them. But I got some already sliced. My chicken broth, if I'm in a hurry, I'll just buy the stuff, you know, in the jar or whatever. But I like this stuff for some reason the better than bouillon. It's kind of like a paste. And you just boil a cup of water. And then you can throw in, it's supposed to be a teaspoon, but I always throw in a little bit more because I figure if you want it to taste like chicken stock, it should have chicken stock flavor to it. So, and of course, if you're very energetic, go ahead and make chicken stock from scratch. I do that for a lot of soups. If I'm making soup, chicken noodle soup, chicken and wild rice, whatever, I will actually make my own chicken stock for my chicken. Not today, because we are running today, getting out of the house for a little bit. But so these you're gonna just probably cook them for just a couple minutes on each side. The butter is I have it in tablespoons, 3 separate tablespoons, because it's divided. It's also unsalted, which the reason that's a preference in cooking, I guess, is because you want to season your meal and not have your butter already come pre-seasoned, but that's a preference. I also use unsalted butter more often than not, actually, so, or butter, or salted, I should say. These are starting to look good. Turn up the heat just a tad. Oh, look at those, huh? Look at those bad boys. Those are starting to look good. Flip them and do a couple, probably 2-3 more minutes on this side. The reason, again, we leave these whole is because they're going to come out really tender when you cut them open and add them back to the pasta after a bit. So I think you're going to like that. I think everybody probably knows how to tell if chicken is done. I do have a really cool little meat thermometer, a little digital gun like this. I know these aren't even close, but they're getting there. But you can use that to temp them. Otherwise, I just know from how long I've had them in the pan whether they're done or not. So we're just gonna keep that butter. Now start to soak up some of that seasoning in there. Ailing Chihuahua Bruno's here, hoping to have some handouts too, but we'll see about that. The recipe itself, I think, too, with the sausage, calls for 6 ounces. This was 12, so use as much as you want. Obviously, go throw the whole thing in there if you prefer sausage over chicken. You can throw shrimp in here too if you want. Because I'm taking this to be reheated later, I don't love using shrimp because it gets a little rubbery if you're reheating it. So I'm just gonna keep these chicken breasts going. a little bit longer. Good and seasoned though. This is supposed to be a Cajun pasta, so you want some flavoring, right? You want the Italian flavoring. You want that Cajun flavor in there. If heat's not your thing, obviously dumb it down. Don't put as much Cajun in there. Say, oh, another thing with the pasta is, again, I usually just let it sit and chill. Your good old Walmart penne pasta, or most pasta, I think, comes in 16 ounces. The recipe only calls for 8. And I tend to lean on the 8 because, first of all, this dish with the pennes, the fun part about pennes is you got these tunnels of fun going on here. So your cream sauce will get up in there and really get a good flavor. But if you're letting it sit or reheating it the next day, I always like to add additional milk or heavy whipping cream if you have it, because it tends to, it doesn't dry out, but it all of that cream sauce gets up inside of those little tubes of fun and makes the dish, I like it really creamy, but that could just be a me thing. But if you don't like it creamy, or you want it when you reheat it the next day or take it leftovers for lunch or whatever, it's just, I like it a little creamier. So I actually using like what the recipe calls for plus half more. Now, of course, we all know this will continue to cook a little bit while it sits. So far that's what we got. All of this goes in that same pan pretty much. We're gonna let that chicken cool because it's obviously just came out of the pan and it's really hot. So in the same pot or pan, you're just gonna throw in your sausage. Eat one for yourself. Kids say that's pretty bussin'. Obviously this kind of meat is fully cooked. Just want to warm it up a little bit, get a little color on it. This sausage does not have any heat. It's really good flavor though. And I use chicken sausage just because, hey, that's what jumped out at me at Walmart. And honestly, I'm kind of trying to slim down a little bit, as you can see. I need to. I got a 40-year class reunion coming up. We got to look like we're still in our teens, you know what I'm saying? Alright, this step, same thing. We're just going to let these, don't want them to get like crispy, but you want to just get a little color on them. I've overdone them a few times, and then it's just kind of, you got these little crispy nuggets of sausage. That's not nearly as much fun. Move these in a second here. Save on some cleanup. You just grab yourself a bunch of these bad boys at Walmart and always have them sitting around. That's what I set all my components on as they cook. And with these sausages having a little bit of cheese in the middle of them, you don't want to overcook them and have them all the cheesy fun squishing out of the middle of them. But they are looking great, actually. Okay. We're going to let those go. We're going to call those good. My favorite part's coming up here. I think you'll like it too. So we're just moving these sausages to the side. Now I have 2 dogs in my audience. Ted's left out because I did not give him any sausage yet. Alright, putting that pan back on. We're going to turn it down a little bit now, just a little bit, because with our next steps we don't want it as high a heat. Here you go, Ted. And dog number 3 just showed up. She needs a snack, so there's one for her. Alright, we're going to do the fun part now. We're going to deglaze this bad boy. Actually, we're not yet. We're going to throw the roast mushroom in here. again, if you like your spores, or whatever they call mushrooms, you do it. Do it. These are pretty big slices, but some people probably like that kind of thing if they're into eating plants. You can pick in the ditch, you know what I'm saying? Same thing with these. Just gonna start cooking these. They're mushrooms. They don't have to be cooked through. You know, they don't have to be a certain temp. We're gonna grab our handy dandy water bottle, deglaze this pan. It's my favorite part. Just make some noise, you know what I'm saying? This is a crazy big mushroom. Deglazing, we're just gonna get all that stuff from the bottom unstuck from the pan. I got this terrific new pan set for Christmas also. The non-stick, my life has changed. We're getting there. These don't take long either. We're supposed to throw a little more butter in here with these, so let's do it. Let's do some butter. They should just look nice, moist, and dark, according to the recipe. 2 or 3 of my favorite things. Nice, moist, and dark. So we're just going to let those go for a few minutes. Whoop, run away. Dog's got it. Hopefully they're okay for dogs. That one flew the pan. Flew the pan. Layla got after that one. I don't know exactly what nice, moist, and dark are supposed to look like in a mushroom, but sure do smell like mushrooms. Good, bad, or indifferent. Now, we're coming up to the part where we're going to make the creamy sauce, right? And the cheese. One of the main reasons why I got used to using freshly grated cheese is because, and I know you've seen this on other actual real cooking shows, etc., is that it's a different consistency when you buy the bagged stuff because they add basically chemicals to it to keep it in stores longer, which is fine, but when it melts down, especially when you're making like a Alfredo type sauce, it might screw with the consistency a little bit. Those are done. We're gonna call them done. Hopefully Carol will like them. If not, toss them in the garbage, you know. It's gonna go right on the top. Obviously, if you love your mushrooms, you can just stir them right in there, but okay, done with that. Now we're going to turn the heat down a little bit. We're going to add another tablespoon of butter. Get that cooking. And we're going to use the minced garlic paste. Garlic. My wife would beg to differ, but I don't think you can ever have too much garlic early. So we're going to let that butter and garlic just sort of do its thing for a minute. In the meantime, pretty soon we should be able to start cutting up this chicken, but we'll just let them rest for a little bit more. And let the garlic go. Recipe also calls for for the sauce, it calls for some Worcestershire sauce, about a tablespoon. I don't know, even if you're an in-home cook like I am, I don't know that you really measure that kind of thing. Some of you probably own measuring spoons, etc., but I don't go in for that kind of stuff either. But Worcestershire can be overpowering, so better to go less than more. And my chicken stock, chicken broth. I don't know what the difference is, nor do I care enough to look. Now we're just going to basically bring this up to warming the pan back up. I'm going to bring it to a light simmer, so. And we're going to add the heavy whipping cream. Now we're also going to want to throw in, obviously we've already seasoned that chicken up good, but you want to re-season. I'm a firm believer that every layer of a dish you make, you need to season it also, right? And this sauce is a Cajun cream sauce, so you want it Cajun-y also. The chicken will add a little bit of that Cajun to it, but we're just going to bring this to a simmer. We're already almost done, folks. Easy weeknight dinner for me. My weekday work day ends at 2:30 in the afternoon, so I'm a little luckier than some. I can start cooking at 3 o'clock if I got a big meal to make, but I like to keep it simple. With any addition of cheese, especially if you're making a sauce, just add it in smaller batches. So it melts, it starts to melt better. If you try to throw it all in at one time, you're just going to end up with a gloopy mess. My dogs are moving in because they hear me slicing this chicken. Done to perfection. Got some juice to it. Let's try it out. Oh yeah. And a sample to the dogs. Okay. This is starting to come up to a simmer. Hopefully. I'm going to do these videos once in a while, probably just for fun. My other nephew Jake, from the same side of the family, he wants me to show how I do my breaded chicken after many, many years of failed attempts. I finally got around to making a good crispy chicken. It's one of my daughter's favorites. It's one of her, usually her birthday request is a chicken Alfredo with crispy chicken, and I've mastered it finally, and it is oh so good. So that one will be coming up, and if you have any ideas, or if you have a meal you want me to try to conquer, that could be fun too. So holler. Alright, this is simmering. We're going to start working the cheese. Probably don't even need all of this either, but I do make a mess when I'm, oops, see? I am a messy cleaner, but or cooker, but don't judge. It's fine, everything's fine. That's why we got paper towels over here, right? Clean right up. So we're just gonna add the cheese, little by little, get that melting up good. If you use a bagged cheese, which again for convenience, go ahead, but I find that especially when I was making the mass, I think I made about 30 of these for that fundraiser. It would be, you just see the cheese stringing through into the whisk, and it just doesn't make as good of a sauce. But hey, whatever makes your life easier, right? There's enough problems in the world right now without worrying about what kind of cheese you're going to use. Can't have enough pepper in my world either, so let's throw some more of that in there. This is smelling fantastic. I cut these chicken breasts up pretty good now. We'll do a couple more, and then I'll save the last one for dog medicine, which is a 2-time-a-day ritual around here with our aging dogs. We'll just save some chicken and throw our medicine in with it. Look at that sauce going. That's looking like a lot of fun, isn't it? I'm to be adding this to my silly little YouTube channel that I've had for a while. You can go snoop around there too if you want. Certainly not for everybody, just a lot of rock and roll videos that my friends in Rica made, and some goofy shit that I used to do when I was a drinking man. I used to spend some time slugging back beers and listening to random music. I just picked some crap off of the old YouTube and gave it a spin, and those videos are cheesy if you want a good time there. So this is starting to thicken up pretty good. This is starting to look pretty good, actually. Oh, yeah. Oh. Yes, indeed. Now, that's it, really, basically. We're going to grab our pasta. Again, we made a 16-ounce thing. I used to make the whole box, and then I'd throw a half a box in the cupboard with intentions of using it for a second dish sometime down the road, but guess what? I never did. And if unfortunately, I'm going to throw this much in the garbage. It's 50 cents, folks. I may be poor, but I can swing 50 cents. So this chicken, let's dump that back in there. I think I got a lot of chicken. I don't know how much I used, probably more than I needed. And toss these sausages back in there. Turn the heat off. Now guess what? We're just going to stir this up like so. Think you can handle this for an easy weeknight? Hey, on a side note, I used to do this kind of as a little side gig, I guess. If you want me to whip one of these up for you and you're in the surrounding area, holler at me. We'll make something happen, you know what I'm saying? So, hopefully you enjoyed this. Learn this dish. It's a quick, easy one for your family. It's really all you do with it. And then we're just going to throw it in our little tin to take it over to our family. Save it up for them. What do you think? Easy peasy Aloeasy, as my friend Elise used to say. Later on, folks.